Hello neighbor, this is Curt with etrailer, and today we're going to be taking a look at the self-tensioning tire chains from Konig, and we're going to see how they work with our 2025 Mazda CX-30 with 215 over 55 R18 tires. So if you live in or you're traveling to an area that is kind of notorious for snowy and icy conditions on the road, a set of tire chains is going to be an excellent thing to keep in your vehicle just to make sure that you get to and from your destination safely. And these self-tensioning tire chains from Konig are excellent in that they are going to do the job of letting you have a lot of control while you're on the road, but they're also very, very easy to install and easy to maintain as you're driving along. They're made with a nickel manganese alloy, which means they're going to be extremely resistant to any kind of corrosion or rust. So, some areas may be salty and things like that. They may be left wet. That's going to help give them a bit of longevity as far as, a longer life and being able to use them. By self-tensioning, there is a self-tensioning device here that you're going to be able to hook up, and it's going to keep these tight around your wheel. Now, most tire chains that are either manual or assisted tensioning, you do want to pull over every once in a while and double check them to make sure that they're tight. With these chains here, you're actually not going to have to do that. This cable here is going to keep constant tension on it, keeping them tight no matter how you roll or turn or twist your wheel or anything like that. So these are Class S chains, which are needed on the Mazda CX-30 because you really don't have a lot of room back here in the back of the wheel well. You want to make sure that they are Class S as recommended by Mazda because you don't want to be causing any damage inside your wheel there. They're going to be a square link, which means they're going to have a sharp edge to them, and that's really going to help out when you need to bite into some ice and things like that to get that traction going. And they're in a diamond pattern. Now, a diamond pattern means that they are going to kind of cross into a link here in the middle of the tire. So as opposed to a ladder style chain, which just goes directly across the tire, on a diamond pattern, there's constantly going to be contact between the tire chain and the road, which is going to make maneuverability that much better. So while they're going to be really good at moving forward and backward and stopping, they're also going to be really good when you're making a turn because the center chain here is going to really help give you traction and stop that lateral movement and sliding that can occur. So one of the other things I really like about these tire chains is that a lot of the points that could, on other tire chains rather, that could actually end up scratching or, damaging your wheels, they've actually done it in plastic. So we actually have these plastic bumpers here on the inside around this metal connection point here. We've got our tensioner is plastic. So really, we're not going to be doing anything to damage our wheels. The other great thing about it is that with these connection points having that plastic, like we have here on our tensioner, if you happen to get caught out without any gloves on and having to put these on, that's just going to help with not having to freeze your fingers and things like that. But installation on these chains also is very, very, very simple. You're not going to have to get down underneath the car and make connections there in the back. It's all can be done right here from the front of the wheel. So follow along and I'll show you exactly how we got these on our CX-30. So to begin your installation, it's always a good idea to lay your chains out flat on the ground. So the way I've got it laid out is I've got my cable up here. The attachments for the chains to the cable are looped. They have an open hook end here. I want to make sure those are face down. And the reason for that is I want that open end facing away from the sidewalls on my tire. As I'm laying it out, what I'm doing is I'm just kind of making sure there aren't any twists or kinks or tangles. And if these are chains that I've used before, I'm also double checking to make sure that there's no previous damage to them. I'm going to get a good separation right here in the middle. And then what I'm going to end up doing is maneuvering this behind my tire. I'm going to come over here and pull the other end around, trying to keep it, as flat and untangled as possible. But I want these bottom connections, that part that I left open on the bottom, to be around here on the front, just like so. At this point, I'm going to grab my cable end here, and I'm going to try to just drape this as much as I can over the tire like so. Try to hold that in place as best I can while I grab the other end, and I'm going to lift this into place as well. When I get up here to the top, I'm going to make this connection on my cable. It's just going to go right in and slide over. Then I'm going to keep control of my chains as I drape it and move the cable to the back of the tire. At this point, I've got these red connections right here, and I really like that they've made these a bright red color, because if I'm doing this in low light conditions, it's going to be really easy to make my connection. So I'm going to go ahead and connect that right there. Now that it's got a connected drape, it's a bit more stabilized, I'm able to get my hands free and kind of maneuver around the tire and make sure that everything is set. What I'm trying to do is to get this middle link section right here to be as close to the center of the tire as I can get it. The other thing I want to do is try to keep as much of this gray chain in the front off of my wheels as I can. It's just going to ensure a more centered fit that way. When I've got all that taken care of, I'm going to take this end of my tensioner and this connection here. I'm going to go ahead and open that up, and I'm going to run this through here, just like so. And then I'm going to pull on it about as tight as I can get it. And you can hear it clicking as I go. Now I'm going to take this opened red end here and my hook, and I'm going to make this connection with the hook end facing away from the tire. And I'm going to hook it together just like that. Now I've got a good tight fit on here. Everything's centered up nicely. The cool thing about the self-tensioner is that unlike those other, like the manual and assisted tensioning, again, I'm not going to have to roll this back and forth to get some slack. As I roll forward, any slack that was left in these chains, particularly on the bottom here where we made that connection, the self-tensioner is going to, tighten up on that, and it's going to just ensure a good snug fit as I'm going down the road. But if after watching this video you decide that these are the tire chains for you and your Mazda CX-30, and you get them and you have the opportunity to use them, please share what you think about them in the comments below. Sharing your experience with us and with other neighbors just like yourself can help them make the best decision for themselves. Once again, this is Curt with eTrailer. Thanks for stopping by.